350 pounds and, not fat.
And when they went to the queen to tell her her subjects had no bread, do you know what she said?
Let them eat cake.
Who took the bomb?
We're getting screwed, man. Every time we turn around, we're getting screwed. Oh, the revolution's going to be through podcasting for sure. That's the only way we talk. It's the little guys that take the brunt of everything. It's got to stop. Peasants, man. We're just peasants. Every one of us. You watch those old movies, you see the peasants in the background with the kings and queens walking around. We're those people. We're those people.
Good morning, peasants. Welcome to another episode of The Peasant's Perspective. We really hope the sound is better today.
Yeah.
Anyways, good morning, Frazier. Good morning and nice and ready for the weather, Boise. It's raining this morning here in Seattle. Pony Boy, good morning. Mata Easel, good morning. Yes, we got people piling in. How fun is that?
As far as everybody knows, it's always raining up here, so you don't even have to mention it.
Yeah, don't move here, please.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. So, there's always videos of people leaving blue states to go to red states. Mm-hmm. Well, yesterday I found a thread of people leaving red states to go to blue states. Somebody in South Carolina was like, I've lived here my whole life. It's just changing. This place is just getting crazy. If anybody's got a house for sale in the Pacific Northwest, Seattle, Portland area, we're coming. And I'm like, what?
Pre-COVID and then right after COVID, there was like a mass exodus. And where did everybody go? What state was the most popular?
Oh, Idaho and Utah. And
So right there, Idaho. So I just watched a video the other day that said Idaho is experiencing a mass exodus. And I was like, what? And so I watched it because I was like, that doesn't ring true because I know lots of people going there. And the story was all about blue hairs leaving.
Idaho?
Yeah.
Oh,
they're like, we can't take it anymore. These are not our people.
After Donald Trump lost the election, before I was arrested over Christmas, I went home to Boise to visit family around Christmas time. And I had an article, I don't remember who wrote it, but it was about the balkanization of the United States and how that's what's happening. We're balkanizing, right? You start separating into your tribes and,
But I refuse to move, so yeah, that's not happening. Well, for now.
Until they start checking your IDs.
For now.
Yeah, there is a limit to all of this. Meanwhile, the only way to turn the tide of the lefting of America is for conservatives to have more kids. And Neil Gorsuch presents here on Fox News yesterday. There's something else we could do to really change the country. Oh, hold on.
Man, that didn't look like Neil Gorsuch either.
Yeah, that's Neil Gorsuch.
Where?
On the right, not the black guy.
Oh, that's somebody I was not expecting to see.
That's Neil Gorsuch on the right.
Okay.
He and Clarence Thomas are kind of becoming my favorite judges.
It seems like a lot of my generation and the younger generation, those stories just aren't taught in schools. Do you think that has hurt us as a society that we eliminated those stories out of the history books?
This is one thing my colleagues and I really agree on, is the importance of bringing civic education to our children. Over half of Americans can't pass the citizenship exam we expect people who come to this country to pass. Most Americans cannot name the 3 branches of government. And if you ask me what the greatest danger America faces today, it's itself. And we have to learn how to talk to one another. We need to know our shared history. And I think if we do that, we'll come to realize that all the things that separate us pale in comparison to the things that unite us, those 3 great ideas in the Declaration. And so, I wanted to be part of America's celebration and bringing us together again.
So what a beautiful little statement there.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that he's cognizing those 3 little words, life, liberty, and happiness, that unite us in our Declaration. That's really great.
And who doesn't like that? I mean, that's everybody in America loves that. We're all pretty much the same.
Yeah. Frazier says on here, good morning, Tiff Time and Carlite. Sounds better. The echo is not bad. Thank you. I know we switched mics. I got the black boring mic now instead of the white cool mic, but whatever. Apparently I had a dynamic microphone. I thought it was a condenser, but whatever. details right. More money down the drain. So Carlene sounds better. The echo's not bad. Thank you very much. Good morning, Tiff Time. Frazier says, I have a bumper sticker that says Idaho sucks. Don't move here. I've seen that bumper sticker. My dad has a bumper sticker like that. Pray the Rosary Daily. Happy Friday. Glad you guys all made it. Okay. So here's another little video. Now, Neil Gorsuch, remember, we're only as good as the information we have. And I know this for a fact. They've in large part stopped teaching civics in school. I mean, it's like cursory overview, no depth, and they teach it alongside other countries' civics. So it's like, well, here's how America has government. Here's how England has government. So it kind of dilutes what we've got. Right? Were you checking to make sure it was really Neil Gorsuch?
Yeah. Well, I was looking to see if there was another.
You think Fox News mislabeled him? You think they actually?
No. I was looking to see if another guy would show up that I could show you. This is who I was talking about.
Okay. So anyways, we're only as good as the information we have. And no matter how good your brain is, if you don't know something, you can't apply it. This woman right here, she is one of those, psychiatrists, psychologists, and she makes an interesting comparison of the difference between the sexes. And I think that, there's lots of reasons to explain the world around us, but this is one of those things where you kind of sit back and go, kind of makes sense, especially when you have a huge part of the country that isn't well informed as to how our country works, right? In 1984, George Orwell talked about how it's always the women that the totalitarians use to change society and enforce their rules. And Hitler said the same thing. Get the women, they'll get the kids, and the men will follow.
Just like Adam and Eve.
On average.
Yep.
And again, I'm not talking about anybody's daughter or granddaughter, but on average, the data shows just uncontroversially that not only do males place a much greater premium on free speech, academic freedom, search for truth, females are the ones that are pushing for the speech codes, for the protections. Males are more rational. They're more interested in public affairs. They care more about cost benefit, risk analysis than females. And so an appeal based on an absolute ignorance of market economics doesn't surprise me that it resonates better with females. And I think they are going to have increasing clout in our political climate as time goes forward.
Makes you rethink suffrage just a little bit.
Absolutely. Right? I'm not just rethinking it. I have rethought it.
His whole transition team so far is
women.
So they make the point at the end, Donald Trump's whole transition team is women. We're going to come back to that in a second. But this is what this has brought to our shores. Remember everything she said on a whole. This is not specific. You, the listener, might have every bit of mental capacity and smarter than the smartest man. There's no individual judgment in something like that, right? But we can agree males tend to be taller. Is that saying that a woman can't be taller than a man? No, not at all. Does that say a man can't be emotionally driven? No, not at all. It's just on a whole, right? Law of large numbers here. So here's what we get out of this in Seattle.
As a progressive and as a socialist, I believe in good governance. Our government is how we act collectively, how we accomplish the things that can only be done together. I believe that our city should be able to tackle big challenges and take on big, ambitious projects. And I believe it is a very bad thing when people begin to lose faith in the ability of their government to be responsive and effective and to deliver results for its constituents. I look forward to working alongside all of the dedicated public servants who work for the city of Seattle, not just to advance a transformative policy agenda, but to make sure that we are delivering basic services, communicating with constituents, working collaboratively with every single neighborhood around the city, and building that faith and trust in government that is so essential and yet so rare in our times.
Lots of platitudes. No plans.
Notice that she called the workers servants.
Servants.
Okay.
Now here is I always forget her name. She owned I think it was a daycare, and she got put out of business. Tiffany Cianci, and she's become kind of part of the MAHA movement, but she's kind of anti-private equity. So she goes around talking a lot about how private equity's buying up private Christian schools and buying up meat packing and all the different things, because she got basically pushed out of business and sued by private equity because she didn't want to sell. So she's talking here about the MAHA movement and how the MAHA movement has been taken over. And I'm tying this together with the comment at the end of the video talking about the difference between how women approach things and how men approach things. And the fact that Trump surrounded himself and his transition team and in his cabinet, his deputy attorney general chief of staff is Susie Wiles. This is not saying that individually they're incompetent or they think this way. It's just an interesting observation, because here's something that's happened to block up the MAHA movement, the Make America Healthy Again movement.
MAHA to actually function, we needed all of the health agencies to buy into MAHA. And what happened was, I think that Trump's team very clearly saw that there was immense popularity on both sides of the aisle for the idea of making our children healthy again and making our food supply clean again.
Hard to argue against that. Yeah.
How do you not want to see our children healthy? We are sicker than any nation on the planet. Right. But it would have required us to get buy-in at the EPA and the USDA. And instead, what happened was to pacify the donor base. We got, in my opinion, probably a Susie Wiles negotiation, because she was also, remember, she was a huge lobbyist and negotiated all of Pfizer's demands during COVID, right? Susie Wiles made the trade-off. We're going to give Bobby Kennedy HHS. We're going to use Doge to plant a bunch of like darlings of CEO, Accent Healthcare people all around him to roadblock him. But then what we're going to do is we're going to put in agrochemical lobbyists in charge of the EPA. And we're going to put a bunch of lobbyist darlings for industrial food companies in charge of the USDA. And then we're going to consolidate more power, which is why our food costs are skyrocketed, right? Nobody's talking about doing anything about the monopoly that is limiting our ability to have access to clean meat in this country. And now we're going to buy it from Argentina. That's the next thing we're going to do, is buy it from Argentina. But if we had put somebody that was actually MAHA aligned and wanted us to have access to clean, healthy eating over at the USDA, and we had not stripped all of the programs that were actually furthering that agenda, we could be making massive differences right now. And instead, we gave the people a carrot in Bobby, and then cut him off at the knees with the agencies he needed to work with him. And it's horrifying to watch.
Sometimes I wonder if both sides have gotten to the scorched earth part of their plans. Like, listen, we can't compromise anymore. Scorched earth, my way or the highway, right? And that's just not the reality, right? You're going to have some kind of compromise there. But it is interesting because Nicole Shanahan, who was RFK's running mate and also a big leader in the MAHA movement, she's making very similar observations.
We are now on the precipice of being forced to inject our cattle with the mRNA vaccine. So just like we talk about medical freedom for humans and the desire to not have mandates.
So Ron's over here like, what? This has been going on, bro. Your pigs are already injected with mRNA.
Okay.
Like they rolled mRNA out for us secondary. So and it's interesting because on one side for human consumption, they're like, no, mRNA is going to be super targeted gene therapy in the future. We're not doing it. They pulled studies, but on the veterinary side, full bore. Now, do you know that the president of Pfizer is a veterinarian?
What?
Bourla?
I
Look
did
it up.
not know that.
Robert Bourla is a veterinarian.
Okay.
So yes, the food supply is getting pumped full of mRNA.
Telling us what we have to put in our bodies. Food freedom is an extension of that. We want the ability to eat meat that isn't full of these inputs. We'd also like to be fully informed. I mean, let's talk about the Nuremberg trials, right? The idea that humans have a right to be fully informed about what they're putting into their bodies. Food freedom is a really big part of that.
Well, I don't feel informed.
You don't feel what?
I don't feel informed.
Yeah, I know.
Because I didn't know that was happening at all.
Now, again, this was originally going to be the video I was going to play right after the one where she talks about women. This is out of Oregon. And let me make sure. I don't think this is Representative Dexter Okay. So this is Representative Dexter in Oregon. She's in some high school gymnasium. It looks like Roosevelt High School or something like that.
Before I forget, I think it's funny that we're okay with the cows in Argentina, because wasn't the problem all their farts?
Well, we played the video.
It's not like the cows in Argentina don't fart.
Well, I was going to say, it's funny. They talk about the biggest, Neil Gorsuch said the biggest threat is not having civics. It's the enemy within. And I was like, well, you haven't been paying attention to the news the last decade. The biggest threat is the melting ice caps.
Yeah. Okay.
And Donald Trump. And I'm pretty sure he's melting the ice caps.
With his lasers.
With his lasers, yes. That he's attached to the battleships now. Yes, exactly. I talked to a lady one time who works over at Keyport. I was like, well, what do you do? And she's like, I train animals. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, like at Keyport, what kind of animals?
I already know what you're going to say because I know.
Do you? I was like, what kind of animals? And I'm like German Shepherds? Like, is it the MP? No. I was like, she's like aquatic. I'm like, you train aquatic animals? They train seals over there.
Do you know what they train them for?
Huh?
Do you know what they train them for?
Bomb detection, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dogs of the sea, man. You got that German Shepherd harbor seal. Hey, we got CRISPR. I mean, why not put the brain of a German Shepherd, or even better, a Belgian Malinois into a harbor seal? You know what I mean? Oh, dude, we could go hardcore and get some elephant seals.
We should get TSA involved.
Oh my gosh. All right. So this is Representative in Oregon having what should be a pretty simple discussion with this man here. And he's expressing to her, listen, Oregon sucks. And you guys have been in charge, okay? But again, the logic, the reason, the rationality, some people can be overgiven to illogical reasons because of emotional or team play. And you see that here no better on I don't assume this guy's some Republican. I have no idea who he is. Maybe he is. Doesn't matter. He's not unreasonable is what he's saying.
Twice as many illegals as Trump did in his first term.
You've had your turn. It's my turn.
So let's just... First of all, is this not democracy or what?
We cannot leave people on the streets and combat compassion. We cannot leave people.
Your party's been in control of it for years, though, and it's getting worse. And you guys are more like, and listen, I know we have problems, but you're more concerned about Trump.
I think the reality is,
I know, I'm not meaning to like be crazy. I'm asking legit questions.
No, I think you,
because I'm a lifelong Oregonian. I grew up here, and
you deserve to have your voice heard as much as anyone else.
And I appreciate that, and I get that vibe from you. I really do, and that's why I appreciate your approach. But at the same time, our state is facing failure after failure in every single sector. Your party's in control of that, and I just don't understand why there isn't more accountability on your party that has the control of everything.
No, but let me just say this, because
I think she can handle it. She's pretty smart.
But what I'm going to say is that this is really important. Government needs to work. We have not done a good job. We've had Democratic control for too long. It's, I think, disproportionately, when you are in power for a long time, you become lazy in how we do it. We need to do better.
I appreciate you saying that.
And that is without question. I ran a for-profit corporation. We would never run a company the way we run our state.
Yeah.
We need to do better.
Well, I don't like honestly, I don't like the system itself. I think our political system is corrupt. I think I'm not talking about just Democrats. I'm talking everything.
100%.
And I just want to see my want to see my state in a better place. And it's like the people, like your party that's in charge is in charge of everything. Like they're in charge of every branch of government in Oregon, right? And so we hear about Trump and ICE, and ICE has been around since 2003. Obama deported twice as many illegals as Trump did in his first term.
You've had your turn.
It's
my turn. So let's just...
First of all, is this not democracy or what?
Wait.
I was in front of you, and you just shoved yourself up in front of everybody.
That'll be my last question, okay? That'll be my last question. So you can, okay.
So I am going to just say this. I hear you. What divides us is nowhere near as much as it probably feels right now.
I believe that.
And I am...
This is an important conversation, ma'am.
It is, but...
Appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Oh, that lady is my favorite. It's my turn. Okay.
Your question is too scary. So the Democrats have been in charge this whole time, and what has it gotten us? Right? I love how she's like, well, it's broken. Okay. And we hate Trump. Okay. Oh my goodness. Now, I had made a mention on X a couple days ago, 2 days ago, about Cindy McCain talking about Jeffrey Epstein. So I'm done with this Jeffrey Epstein thing. And I think I turned a corner yesterday. Okay. I think I turned a corner yesterday.
All right.
If you're a victim and you're on TV and talking, I don't care about you anymore.
Yeah.
I've just decided that. Like, it's not like, you know, a lot of these victims have, I don't know, man. Some of these women that are on TV took settlements for millions of dollars, right? And then now what's happening is these emails that are coming out, we're finding out more and more of what Jeffrey Epstein was actually alleged to have done. Dude, honestly, legitimately, this is massages. Like,
it's like high dollar escort
This isn't
service.
like, you know, I'm just saying, it doesn't appear that they thought that these women wanted to be there. One of the things that Jeffrey Epstein was extremely upset about the first time that he was charged was that he got charged for solicitation when he never left his own house. And that's never happened in the nation or in Florida before. You don't get, because you're not out there on the streets paying someone, you're in your house. They came to you and came back again in your house. Those rules are not like, you know, hey, honey, here's some money. Go get yourself something nice. That's not solicitation in your home. Okay. It's a gift. So anyways, he went through this whole thing. And so I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying he didn't view it that way. And he wanted to go to jury trial. He wanted to drag out witnesses and all that kind of stuff. And that's probably some of the leverage he used to get his good deal. Again, I'm not saying any of this is right or wrong because it's wrong. What did I just say? I'm not thinking this is right or wrong, but it's wrong. I'm saying this is wrong, but it doesn't go to the scale of the QAnon allegations.
Right.
I've not met anybody that makes those allegations. And the only one that did said Jeffrey Epstein turned into a lizard. We played it on the show. So now I need to figure out the lizard thing before I can really figure out if the abuse thing was real or not, right? Because this is one sentence that you just laid in front of me. So here's Cindy McCain in 2020 talking about Jeffrey Epstein.
It hides in plain sight. Epstein was hiding in plain sight. We all knew about him. We all knew what he was doing. But we had no one that was legal aspect that would go after him. They were afraid of him. For whatever reason, they were afraid of him. All of a sudden, someone said, BS, we're not afraid of you anymore, and what you're doing is not only wrong, it's illegal, it's, all those things. It's like a house of cards now. It's going to start tumbling, believe me. And these guys, if they don't leave the country, number one, they're going to get caught, and they're going and they not only will they get caught, but they're going to be made examples of, and that's exactly what we should be doing with these guys, especially.
Okay, but she said something we all knew, but there was no legal entity that would do something about it. Imagine being in that position. It's so easy for us little peasants that have police knock on your door because you got caught on a traffic camera to think that you can just go bang down a billionaire's door. It's not exactly how it works when they've got 9 passports and rockets, and submarines, and private islands. It doesn't work that way. So they're looking at it going, well, this guy's a creep. And I hate to say this, but most of this was massage parlor-y type things. Come in, get your little thing. Obviously, it's super traumatic for the women. Not saying it's not, but there has not been any official allegation other than that outside of the Q universe. That's what I'm saying. Okay. So them saying, hey, it's inappropriate for you to bring people in and because you do create blackmail and stuff like that.
But we're not like going full apocalypto here.
No, but it turns out somebody said, no, you can't do that anymore. It's gross.
Okay.
Now, you have to understand a backstory here. Virginia Giuffre, the most prominent of the Epstein victims, who wrote the book that said Trump did nothing, worked at Mar-a-Lago when she was 16 as a spa attendant, a high school job. Okay. Ghislaine Maxwell recruited her out of there to go give the rub and tugs to Jeffrey Epstein. After a period of time, Trump found out about this, asked Ghislaine Maxwell to stop. She was doing the recruiting and asked Jeffrey Epstein to resign from Mar-a-Lago. Turns out Jeffrey Epstein was never an official member of Mar-a-Lago. He just had the prestige to walk in. So then he was banned from Mar-a-Lago. Now, most of these Epstein stories that were released yesterday, or a big chunk of them, were Epstein communicating with Michael Wolff, one of those hate Trump authors that's on his 3rd or 4th hate Trump book. And Michael Wolff was on with the PBD podcast, and he revealed something that many of us suspected, but hadn't confirmed yet. A long time ago, Trump put out a statement when he was asked about Jeffrey Epstein. He said, "Oh, he's a great guy. He's a good friend of mine. I know him really well. He likes women as much as I do, but he likes them on the younger side," something like that.
Yep.
As a billionaire saying that about another billionaire, that is outing them. That is like, hold on. It's one thing to like girls because we're all Playboy billionaires. It's another thing to like them a little young. That doesn't mean 20-somethings because everybody's doing the 20-somethings.
Right.
So if I'm liking them a little younger, and Jeffrey Epstein in his own emails admitted nobody was younger than 15. Full stop. Okay. So oddly enough, it was Trump who put a stop to this. He's the one who said no more.
He's threatened to sue him. Even though they're friends, he's threatened to sue him over this deal.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. As I say, rich men break down over real estate disputes. At any rate, at that point, Epstein's legal problems began. The police began to investigate him over allegations that he was that there were underage women coming to his house. Epstein believed that it was Trump who first informed the police about what was going on at Epstein's house. And from that point on, they were nothing but bitter enemies.
And this is what he's telling you. This is one of the instances of what he's telling you.
Yes.
That the following
yes, that is the version of this related by Epstein.
Okay.
Doesn't that explain everything?
Pretty much.
And then Donald Trump comes into office and Epstein gets rearrested. There's an email between Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell saying what we have to worry about is the dog that's not barking. Who's the dog that's not barking? It was Trump, right? The dog that's not barking, why is he not making a denial or something? Because Trump was like, I'm going to run and I'm going to put you in prison. I don't have to make statements about you. I don't have to make statements one way or the other. Does that make sense? The dog that wasn't barking. He spent time with Virginia, not some random victim, Virginia, the one who'd already published in her book, and over the course of 15 years that she was an official victim, repeatedly said Trump was nothing but a gentleman and nice and actually helped her. Okay. Might have been the one who tipped off the cops. Now, as far as associations go, we all have to have clear eyes. So, for example, here is the Obamas with their favorite child molester.
I want to know is why nobody said nothing about this.
Sentimental.
I want to start by thanking Harvey Weinstein for organizing the
Is that the end of the clip?
amazing day. This is possible because of Harvey. He is a wonderful human being, a good friend, and just a powerhouse. We're here because of you.
How buddy Michelle Obama and Harvey Weinstein was. You see whoop.
It's after Harvey Weinstein
and there's
assaulted
one
Gavin.
of the View members back there too.
Now you've got to remember, Harvey Weinstein made his way around to some big names. For example, Gavin Newsom's wife claims to be a victim of Harvey Weinstein. But I'm sure the Obamas will endorse. And again, clear eyes. Now there's a link here, and I am going to report to you for the first time. I put this together myself. When I have an original thought, I like to point them out because there's regurgitation, and then there's when you're like, ugh. Thoughts just connected. The entire Russiagate operation, we've blamed 100% on Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton clearly had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Well, Bill and Hillary had this idea that they would say that Russia had some dirt on Trump and they would launder that through the intelligence and create the Russiagate thing. And here we are now, all the dominoes have fallen. I've spent my prison sentence through this whole thing. Turns out this could come all the way back to Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein, according to Politico, claimed he gave Russians insight into Trump. So imagine a scenario where Jeffrey Epstein calls up Hillary and goes, hey, Trump has an association with me. We both know he's not dirty, but the allegation of being around me, which is what it says in the emails where Michael Wolff's like, you can blackmail Trump by either telling him he lied, but if he says anything about you and he lied, you can prove he's a liar and destroy him, or you can save him and create a debt and get a favor, right? So Michael Wolff is explaining this is great blackmail for you. So imagine a situation where Jeffrey Epstein calls up Russia, says, hey, I got some info, or claim to have, tells Hillary. Hillary's like, yeah, go chase that down. Do you see how this is just story planting? Go create a real situation where Russia has intelligence on Donald Trump. We can't verify Russia's intelligence, but if we can just get a confirmation that it exists, we can paint Trump with it. Nearly a month before President Donald Trump met leader Vladimir Putin in Helsinki, Jeffrey Epstein attempted to pass a message to Russian diplomat. I think you might suggest to Putin and Lavrov that he can get insight to talking to me, Epstein wrote in 2024 or 2018, emailed a former prime minister of Norway. So he goes, Chuckin was great, Epstein, a late convicted sex offender, wrote. He understood Trump after our conversations is not musplex. He must be seen to get something. It's that simple. So here you have Epstein advising Russia on how to deal with Trump, and Russia's telling people that he's planting fake Trump stories to Trump. It ties in perfectly. Mm-hmm. What if, after everything shakes out, this really is a cover-up for the elite? Not just the Clintons and the cover-up of their long series of things, but then it extends into the Epstein network. And realistically, these guys don't have to be doing dark room, middle of the forest, seance circle, ritualistic abuse. Abuse is abuse, right? And that's why I think I'm going to be done with caring about the victims and whatnot. Not that I don't care, but you get what I'm saying. Like at this point, I don't think the worst.
Let's not spend as much time on it.
The worst of the worst victims are not the ones we're seeing on TV. The victims we're seeing on TV are ones like this.
Emails really speak for themselves. You read it and you have a very visceral reaction to them. But I do.
Why would you have a visceral reaction to them? The more I read them, the more I'm like, this is basically a bunch of guys trying to get out and get Trump because he might have turned you in. This is like Prison 101. Don't be a snitch. Snitches get stitches. These guys wanted to give Trump some stitches. It's like, hello.
They just speak for themselves. And I think.
Oh, and what do they say? See the illusion here? I'm sorry, I'm going to clip this up a million times because who cares, right? But it's like, they speak for themselves. Yeah. And you have a visceral reaction. Okay.
Survivors have been very clear and consistent about our messaging that anyone who performs harm or anybody that has done any wrongdoing or has harmed people should face accountability. They should be brought to justice. And I think that survivors are holding strong to that sentiment. And I think that the only way we're ever going to be able to do that is by releasing all of the files from the government.
Right. All of the files, see the names, and obviously to the extent that victims want their names out there, we know that there are hundreds of victims' names in there. There are also many men in there who participated, who knew, and they should be held to account.
Absolutely.
So we are learning that there was a major pressure campaign by the White House today. Now, we know there have been one for months. Trump said that anybody who would vote to release the files for that transparency, it's a hostile act to this administration. But today they invited Congresswoman Lauren Boebert to the Situation Room, an unprecedented meeting. The Attorney General there, the Deputy Attorney General there, the head of the FBI is there to try to get her to pull her signature from the petition today that moves this to a full vote on the House floor. What does it say to you that something like this would happen in the White House, in the Situation Room?
It definitely feels frustrating. But I think with everything that came to light today, we are starting to see more information. I feel like we're starting to iris in. And I do think that, first of all, I want to say survivors and myself included are incredibly grateful to the Republican women, particularly Nancy Mace and Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and of course, even though he's not a woman, Thomas Massie. I think we see so much media attention on this because Epstein was such a political figure or a figure of power. And there's been so much attention on our stories, but abuse happens all the time to women everywhere. And violence, happens consistently to women. So I think that there's just such a broader message that for those women, particularly Marjorie Taylor Greene, Boebert and Mace, I think they are really standing up for women everywhere. And they're saying, they're throwing down the gauntlet of what is acceptable in society. So I just really appreciate it.
And they're doing it under incredible pressure, right? Hostile act, all of it.
Absolutely.
So we got a gaggle of women that are playing with international safe and peace and
no comment.
So that was on CNN. So let's talk around this. Let's smear Trump without saying Trump, because the reality is when you dig through all of this, the Republicans have dug through it. They've already done a discharge position. Let it out. The Democrats are holding it back because they're creating a smear story. But at the end of the day, this is the actual CNN truth line
that mentioned the president. And we do want to be clear.
We want to be clear.
Trump did not receive or send any of the messages, which largely predated his time as president. He's not been accused of any criminal wrongdoing in connection with Epstein or Maxwell. The White House.
So we got a big nothing burger. There's nothing here. He's not involved in any of this. There's really no allegations in any of the emails. But how can we know
Let's
that
just
Trump?
keep talking.
Yeah. So then that begs the question, where do people like our favorite expat, who will never be allowed to return to the United States because she's too fat, according to the president, Rosie O'Donnell, where does she get this information?
One person standing in the way of us all figuring out why his name appears multiple times in the Epstein files. We still don't know why his name appears multiple times in the Epstein files.
We do know why,
Is
Jim.
Donald Trump.
We all know why.
Yeah.
You have to know why. Why else do you think he paid $1 billion to Jeffrey Epstein over the time of their friendship?
Is that true? Because I don't think that's true. In fact,
I've never heard that.
I've never heard it. I don't think $1 exchanged between them.
Nope.
$1 billion. He wrote in his birthday book, "Here's to all the secrets."
The wonderful secrets.
Come on. If this was an Angela Lansbury murder, she wrote, people would be, it's too obvious.
We figured it out.
So obvious that he is guilty as sin. And America, you know, before he brings more troops into Chicago and harasses brown-skinned people, before he breaks more of the Constitution apart, before he starts having people...
Rosie, how many branches of government? Name them. Go. Rosie, hey, I got a question for the audience. Okay. How many rights are guaranteed to us by the First Amendment?
Oh.
How many enumerated rights are in the First Amendment?
Anybody?
Anybody? Put it in the chat. How many enumerated rights? Don't look it up.
Killed. We have to do something, America.
Yeah.
And it's
I
time
agree.
for every person with a platform to speak out about it. Every single person, now or never. Break glass in time of emergency. It's time to break the glass.
And you saw, Rosie, what he...
No thought of cause and effect. Break the glass. I don't like the dictator Trump. Destroy society. All the protections we need from law to protect my LGBTQ friends. The moment you break the glass, Rosie, it's not going to be a dictatorship of the gays. Okay? It's going to be a dictatorship of the warlords. And they don't want your kind.
The other day when those brave women were up on Capitol Hill, the survivors, their families, they were all speaking out. And at the same time, Donald Trump is saying it's a Democratic hoax.
How dare he, Jim?
Yeah.
How dare he? For every child that was ever raped by a grown man, how dare he? How dare he? We are mighty. 1 in 3 girls suffers child sex abuse. 1 in 5.
All right, this is getting bad.
Boys, those are the statistics, America. Wake up.
Yeah.
Wake up. Our president is a serial pedophile rapist, and that's what he is. And in America, you're allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to say what you think. That's what our country was founded on.
Are you in America?
She is. No, she's not. She's in Ireland. She fled. But Trump, he's going to revoke her citizenship, so don't worry, because she's too fat. You've called women ugly, whatever. Only Rosie O'Donnell. Best line ever in a debate. Oh, even Ocasio-Cortez, again, this is, let's paint Donald Trump with the associations of Obama's with Weinstein, the Clintons with Epstein. Of course, Trump knew Epstein. They were neighbors, but it sure doesn't sound like they ended as friends.
It seems as though Donald Trump had a very close personal relationship.
What happened? Personally spent time with the victims.
In the Epstein operation. Yeah. And I think this is just, I mean, it's horrifying.
It seems as though Donald Trump had a very
Yeah, it is horrifying. Okay. In fact, what's really the most horrifying is the fact that Catherine Rumler, look at this. This is Catherine Rumler here. She was known as Obama's fixer. Here's Catherine Rumler. While serving as national secretary, Ambassador Rice was not briefed on the existence of any FBI investigations into allegations between Mr. Trump's associates in Russia, and she later learned of the fact after the investigation from Director Comey's subsequent public testimony. Ambassador Rice was not informed of FISA applications. Anyways, it goes on to explain here. Oh, that's Susan Rice. Excuse me. Susan Rice and Rumler. But Rumler was Susan Rice's lawyer, and Rumler right here, Kathy Rumler from Jeffrey Epstein. You see how dirty Donald is. My guess is that non-lawyers, New York biz people have no idea what it means to have your fixer flip. It makes no difference whether it was money. Issue is failure to disclose, plus the fact that he has lied his A off and makes it clear he knew it was illegal. I think he makes the argument that it was his, Trump's money, not making it not illegal, though he also said he only found it afterwards. The fact, according to the indictment, was billed as services rendered and gossip. I'm sure he has flipped anyways. He's talking about Michael Cohen. I did talk in detail to Starr yesterday. Ken Starr, you know, the impeachment lawyer for Clinton, in reply to indictments, how can Trump make a deal? Special counsel. Clinton trash can. Yes, Starr gave me more. Yeek. There's a story from New York Times that I thought you would find interesting. The principled case for impeachment is clear. What's missing? This is Jeffrey Epstein communicating with Catherine Rumler in 2018, 2 years into Donald Trump's presidency, just before he gets arrested. This woman right here is getting advice from Donald Trump on what to ask about impeachment matters and Michael Cohen and the Stormy Daniels case. Those were all referenced in that email I just read to you that you probably didn't catch. So Jeffrey Epstein is coordinating with the people who ran Russiagate, Ukrainegate, J6, all of it.
This is incredible.
Yes. This is the dog that is not barking. This woman right here has extensive emails with Jeffrey Epstein like this. In 2018, not 2012, not before he was convicted. They're actually using his conviction as leverage to paint Trump with his association at that David Wolf and Epstein's request. So when Trump says this is a hoax, the same people who have been charged of that this whole time are doing this. That's what he's talking about. Here's more of David Wolf, the guy who's all over these emails.
Well, you know, I think the context was, and again, as I said before, I was trying, and that was at a moment when you could still look at the Trump candidacy and not take it very seriously. But there were reasons to begin to take it more seriously. And I, among many people, was increasingly alarmed about this and understood that the one person who had the potential to damage this candidacy was Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not the only person who understood that. I think I've said before here that when I was with Steve Bannon, when he met Jeffrey Epstein in 2017.
So let me put some more context on that. Okay. So the only person that could take out Trump was Steve Bannon. Why? Or excuse me, Jeffrey Epstein. Why? Because Jeffrey Epstein was already a convicted pedophile. And the only way to take out Trump, because everyone in his world had the Robin Williams approach. That's the guy that he got nothing on him. He watched us wear the lampshades and get drunk at the party while he sat there, you know, doing his thing. We don't have anything on him other than he was with us. So now we have to lie about what we're doing or make ourselves out to look bad. So Epstein's the perfect scapegoat because you don't have to make allegations where there's, you know, Jeffrey Epstein, just associate him with me and that'll be enough. Right. That's what these guys were reeling. Shantini, you did get it right. There are 5 enumerated rights: freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of assembly, freedom of religion, and right to redress your government for grievances.
And the first thing that Bannon said to Epstein was, "You were the only person I was afraid of during the campaign." So he had this. Trump's candidacy is continuing on. It's unlikely that he would get to the end, but you know, it's unlikely that he would have gotten as far as it had gotten by this point. I was trying to encourage Epstein to use what information he had to get Trump, and in this instance, that would have been an interesting way to approach this. Let Trump publicly tell a lie, then expose the lie. Now, Epstein, you know, and this is because he would go back and forth, and I think he would entertain this possibility that he could do this. But at the same time, Epstein was, without a doubt, very much afraid of Donald Trump. So in the end, I never got, well, I mean, we can get to that. In the end, I think that he was starting to get to this to this point that he might publicly talk about this relationship, but then he was arrested and died.
Oh, but then he was arrested and died.
That's the dumbest.
I feel like this explains a lot. This is putting a lot of dots together. This is going, oh, this makes sense. Epstein, whatever scale you want to put it as crimes, he has a conviction. He does know Trump. He hates Trump. He thinks Trump turned him in and ruined his life, right? And so he wants to get back at him. He's probably in a cohort amongst the Clintons and Hoffman. All these people. Since Trump came into office the first time, we've seen the. If I'm wrong on any of this, I apologize. I don't want to be sued, but I'm pretty sure that Lex Wexner, the guy who created Victoria's Secret, apparently Victoria's Secret she was trafficked, right? So he died in a French prison. You got the guy, Jacques Brunel. He's either on trial or dead, one of the two. He's in prison. Epstein, they took out a little network. And so, I don't know. But the people who seem to complain the most and are the most vitriolic and get caught in lies all the time, and in some cases even fart on live TV. And if I say fang fang,
can I get a bang bang?
Trump officials refer Representative Eric Swalwell for a federal criminal probe over an alleged mortgage fraud. So here is another one of these alleged mortgage frauds. How do you take down the mafia? Tax fraud. That's how they got him. If you commit one crime, you commit other crimes. So Swalwell is the latest Democrat to face mortgage fraud allegations from Federal Housing Finance Agency lead Bill Pulte. Who knew that Bill Pulte could take down the deep state with mortgage fraud? Who sent a letter to the Justice Department on Wednesday. So here's the allegation here. Let's see if it's got a picture of it. Okay, so here's the allegation. The allegation is Eric Swalwell doesn't have a house in California. A top housing official in President Trump's administration has referred California Democrat Eric Swalwell to the Justice Department for a potential federal criminal probe based on allegations of mortgage and tax fraud related to a Washington, D.C. home. According to a person familiar with the referral, he is the fourth Democrat official to face mortgage fraud allegations. So he says, as the most vocal critic of Donald Trump over the last decade, and as the only person who has a still surviving lawsuit against him, the only thing I am surprised about is that it took him this long to come after me, Swalwell said. So the referral, according to the source, alleges several $1 million worth of loans and refinancing based on Swalwell declaring his primary residence as Washington, not state, city. It calls for an investigation of possible mortgage fraud, state and local tax fraud, and insurance fraud, as well as any related crimes. He doesn't have a house in California. Doesn't have a house in California. So that'll be really interesting. That will be really interesting. He's from Livermore, which is not far from where I grew up.
Livermore, California?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Next thing I see here, this came out in the Daily Mail, and this is, again, you see charts and see things. I just this last week was showing my investment group a chart about foreclosures, and I was like, look, foreclosures are not peaking. They're still really down low on the list. Apparently the chart needs to be updated. Foreclosure surge 20% as Americans struggle to pay mortgages, and fears of 2008 style crash soar. There's a worrying new trend foreshadowing the housing market. Foreclosures, what a foreclosure is, I don't have to define it, but here's the big deal here. Here's the states with the most foreclosures. First and foremost is Florida. Second, South Carolina. Third, Illinois. 5, Nevada, and Iowa's on there. Utah's on there. California, Texas, Idaho, right there. It's 13. It's not highlighted in red, but it's got the top. Washington, D.C., Oklahoma. That stinks. Anyways, so foreclosures are on the rise, and it's not good. It's like clipping month after month. It's getting more and more. Now, possible explanations. A, high interest rates. People can't refinance to get lower payments. Lots of layoffs that are happening, especially in the middle class, upper class, white collar industry. On top of that, you also have deportations. Hey, and we know that, 6% of FHA loans were going to illegal immigrants. So if those illegal immigrants get deported, who pays their mortgages?
That's a lot of volume.
Yeah, it's a lot of volume. This could be a really big deal. So Trump is trying to do everything to juice the dollar to try to maintain people's home equity and maintain values, while at the same time putting dollars in the pocket of people to be able to buy houses. So it's going to be two runaway charts You know, they're trying to get income up and housing up. And the question is one going to outpace the other? If income outpaces housing, nobody will care. Everybody will be happy. People will buy homes. But if housing outpaces income, oh boy, it's going to be rough, which is why Marjorie Taylor Greene is introducing a bill to try to eliminate one of the biggest drags on rising wages, which is cheap overseas labor that we import.
Hello, Americans. I'm introducing a bill to completely eliminate the H-1B visa program, which has been riddled with fraud and abuse and has been displacing American workers for decades. There will only be one exemption in my bill, and it will allow for a $10,000 per year cap on visas issued to medical professionals like doctors and nurses who provide life-saving care to Americans. However, even this $10,000 per year cap will be phased out over 10 years to allow us time to build our own pipeline of American doctors and physicians. My bill will also restore the original intent of the visa, for it to be temporary. These visas were intended to fulfill a specialty occupational need at a given time. People should not be allowed to come and live here forever. We thank them for their expertise, but we also wish them well so they may return to their home country. My bill will take away the pathway to citizenship, forcing visa holders to return home when their visa expires. In order to build our pipeline of American doctors and medical professionals, my bill will also prohibit Medicare-funded residency programs from admitting non-citizen medical students into their programs. Just last year alone, there were over 9,000 doctors in the U.S. who graduated from medical school but were left without a residency placement. Meanwhile, in 2023 alone, there were over 5,000 foreign-born doctors who received residency spots. This is entirely unfair, and it's America last. My bill will help mitigate the shortage of doctors and nurses in our country, the shortage that we face, while at the same time serve as an off-ramp from our reliance on foreign workers by allowing us time to fill our residency programs with American doctors. Now, this will completely end the H-1B visa program in all other sectors in the job force and in the workforce. This is America first. It's time to put American citizens first instead of foreigners first. And this has gone on, and this has been an abuse for far too long. Americans deserve a future. They deserve a chance. And I believe Americans are the most talented people in the world, the most creative. And I...
Okay.
We were.
I mean, there might be a reason why some of these guys are beating us out here and there.
I actually don't. I think the main reason, I think they're on the ascent, lots of work ethic and stuff like that. But I think for the most part, it's just because they were cheaper. And if I'm not willing to work for that wage and they're cheaper, I'm going to stop learning.
This whole program is going to sound really harsh, but I think this is the right path forward.
Yeah. And then she's saying she's basically, there's multiple bills. This is a hardcore bill, but it has the carve out for health. Now they'll use that template to do tech or whatever. I don't honestly care if you've got some coding whiz nerd that you need to bring in from India. It doesn't bother me. Right. It doesn't bother me when there's legitimately like, hey, we don't know that job, or hey, that guy has a patent in Switzerland. Let's bring him here and have him work for whatever.
Sure, but we don't need 10 million of them.
Oh, no. And you definitely don't need an H-1B visa to work at a hotel doing room service.
Right.
You know what I mean? Absolutely not. So, yeah, I think that's really
How is this going to impact farmers? Because I know that's going to be a thing that is going to be brought up immediately.
Mechanization.
Okay.
It's not. That's what they're saying. They're like, listen, you don't need those guys to pick the strawberries. We have machines for that now.
We don't need pickers anymore.
Yeah. And who do you think Elon Musk is going to sell his Optimus robots to? I'm being serious.
Okay.
You will see a day where you'll see little mechanical robots out in the fields picking
cherries and
fruits.
apples.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Why would an Optimus robot not be able to walk through a strawberry field and harvest it?
I don't know. I think it makes perfect sense, actually.
He says he's going to dump 20 million of them out there. Well, I bet 3 million of them end up walking around our fields. Carlite says, we're waiting for the mass deportation to cause a reset in the housing market and drop interest rates, hopefully buying in March, May. I sure hope housing prices drop, but I do not believe they will. And if you're waiting, do not wait, because by March or May, houses might go up 5 or 10%. That's how listen.
There is
the loan program. The 50-year mortgage will drop rates. That will keep. They're trying to keep boomers in their equity. That's what they're doing here. While at the same time making it kind of monthly affordable for the young generation. There's so many problems happening here. But you know what is not in the cards?
Waiting.
The value of anything going down.
Yes.
Because they have to print money to get through this problem. As Scott Bessent has said, this is our last shot at supply side economics.
And you need to think about this for a second. You're waiting because why? Just think about that for a second. And then think for a second, who else is waiting? There's a lot of people
Who else
waiting.
is waiting. So in spring, when you're thinking prices are going to crash and they drop that interest rate 0.5%, you're going to be like, all of a sudden prices are stable and rising.
And you're going to be competing.
And you're going to be
with
competing
millions
with
of
50-year
people.
mortgages, and you're going to be, you know what I mean? Yeah, prices are not going down.
No.
They're doing everything in their power to keep prices from going down. They're trying to flood the market with money. He's talking about giving $2,000 tariff dividends to low and middle income people. What are they going to do with that? This is all trying to get more money into the hands of millennials and Gen X and Gen Alpha while maintaining the home equity of the boomers.
And the right way to think about this is if you can in any way afford it, you got to get into that position and own that home and then just wait for the economy to help you out in that position.
Yes. Now, absolutely, deportations make a difference. Here's JD Vance talking.
I know that there are a lot of people out there, Sean, who are saying things are expensive. And we have to remember they're expensive because we inherited this terrible inflation crisis from the Biden administration. But you've already seen signs that things are getting better. The price of eggs has gone way down. The price of energy has gone way down. The price of gasoline has gone way down. And as we know, when the price of energy goes down.
By the way, you know, they do that thing where if there's an emergency, they do price gouging laws, like you can't jack up the price of fuel. They should, Harmeet Dillon needs to do price gouging lawsuits against governments like the state of Washington. Why is our gas getting more expensive? They're 65 more cents a gallon on tax on gas?
Yeah.
I mean, like every time energy goes down, they just jack up their premium.
That starts to filter out into the entire economy, but that also takes a little bit of time. There's another component of this, Sean, which to me is maybe the most important because I care so much about our young people being able to afford a good life. A lot of young people are saying housing is way too expensive. Why is that? Because we flooded the country with 30 million illegal immigrants who were taking houses that ought by right go to American citizens. And at the same time, we weren't building enough new houses to begin with, even for the population that we had. So what we're doing is trying to make it easier to build houses, trying to make it easier to build factories and things like that so that people have good jobs. We're also getting all of those illegal aliens out of our country, and you're already seeing it start to pay some dividends.
So 20 years ago, there was a crisis. There was a housing crisis. Okay. 2006, 2007 were good years. It led to the bubble bursting in 2008. In 2006, 2007, the average age of the first-time home buyer was 39, which people thought, wow, it should be like 25, right? I mean, that's what it was the generation prior. So this was devastating. So people were like, hey, not just people, it's not like anybody planned the market crash, but the market crash, and you think home would be more affordability. But you know what's interesting? Every year since that year that the average age got to 39, the average first-time home buyer was 39. Since then, that number has floated. Currently today, the first-time home buyer average is 40. But you know what the median age of the regular home buyer is? 59.
Whoa.
So in 20 years, the bulk of homes, if you bought a house 20 years ago, your little cohort has every year been making the bulk of buys.
They're the same people.
Let me finish this.
They're the same people.
Exactly. Those people are, and I'm not saying 1% like the elite, but to be wealthy, it's like 60, 70 grand net worth. It's not much. That group, the people trying to protect their wealth, have played the equity ladder and ridden the inflation. Meanwhile, wages have stayed stagnant or dropped, and everybody below them didn't get to buy a house.
That's right.
If you are 59, you need to recognize younger than you, home ownership is less and less and less and less and less, to the point to where you don't see 25-year-olds buying houses. They're exceptional people when they do. Okay. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. The boomers cannot retire not in poverty if they can't maintain home equity, because it's pretty much all they have, because that's the wave they rode. So you can't keep them healthy, safe, and well, while at the same time keeping the younger generation that needs to pay for them fed, prosperous, and working. You cannot have your cake and eat it too unless you bake inflation into the cake. Inflation is going to happen. I'm telling you, and this is just my peasant's perspective, be smart. Values do not go down at this stage on. If they do, that's called the specter of deflation. Run, run, run. If prices are not rising, we're not paying our debts. We're paying it with substance at that point. We're not paying it with paper anymore. So prices, it's baked into the cake. The game is to try to get wages to go up with all that funny money and not housing. But these are very hard curves to match. If housing takes a real drop and stuff is flooding the market, people are going to run from real estate. It is a bad situation. And like they have said, the last chance for supply side economics. And what are they doing with that as well? They're trying to create demand side economics for the future. Here's GM wants parts makers to pull supply chain from Florida. This comes from businesstimes.com. Rewiring supply chains from China is costly and complex. General Motors has directed several thousands of its suppliers to scrub their supply chains of parts from China. 4 people familiar with the matter said, reflecting automakers' growing frustration over geopolitical disruptions to their operations. GM executives have been telling suppliers they should find alternatives to China for their raw materials and parts. The goal of eventually moving the supply chains out of the country entirely, people said. GM approached some suppliers with a directive in late 2024, but the effort took on a fresh urgency in the past spring during the early days of the escalating U.S.-China trade battle. So it just basically goes on to say that tariffs are working. They're bringing jobs home, right? They want the supply chain locally. That's a good thing. Okay. Local, Seattle.
Okay.
I moved here, 15 years ago?
I've been here my whole life.
Been here your whole life. And, it's been a nice place. But it's notably gotten worse, significantly worse, especially if you head over into Seattle. You can see it. It's palpable. And you wonder how it's palpable. Let me describe to you what happens when Democrats run the place and what happens when people who have a misunderstanding of our fundamental rights and how money works run the place, when they are more concerned about letting criminals walk free.
I keep saying we get what we tolerate, and it turns out we're willing to tolerate a lot in Washington state. A new Forbes study ranks us dead last in America for retail theft. Not bottom 5, not near the bottom, dead last. The thieves have apparently discovered what we already knew. Washington is different. Here's what that looks like in the numbers. We have 48% more retail theft than our population size would predict. The average Washingtonian's share of stolen goods, $347. The national average is $173. Small business owners report being hit with theft daily, weekly, constantly. We're not talking about a desperate mom stealing formula just one time to feed her baby. I've introduced you in recent commentaries to people, drug-addicted people, stealing $500 to $1,000 of merchandise every single day. They sell it to black market dealers for pennies on the dollar. They get arrested occasionally, released quickly, and just return to the same stores the next morning. No detox or treatment required, no consequences that matter. It's just catch and release, like we're managing a fishing pond. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce puts a price tag on this, $2.7 billion in stolen
rainbow trout
goods in Washington state in 2021. That's $603 million in lost tax revenue. A state that just passed historic tax increases because we're supposedly broke, we're letting $603 million walk out the door. Democratic State Representative Mari Levitt from West Pierce County deserves credit for actually convening the right people to talk about this. She brought together retailers, police, prosecutors, and loss prevention professionals, not to wring hands, but to face reality. What they discussed was sobering. This isn't just about corporate profits. Mom and pop stores are closing. Workers are being threatened physically. Prices go up for everyone. And the same names keep appearing on police reports, cycling through the system like it's a revolving door designed by someone who hates doors. The solutions aren't mysterious. target the repeat offenders who commit most of the theft, connect accountability with actual treatment for addiction, give prosecutors tools to go after organized crews, go after the black market stores who pay for stolen goods. Basic stuff that any functioning society would consider obvious. But we've somehow convinced ourselves here that enforcing laws is mean, that expecting people not to steal is judgmental, that businesses should just absorb the losses as the cost of doing business. Here's what I think is really happening. We've confused compassion with permissiveness. Real compassion would be getting that addict into treatment, not enabling their next theft. Real compassion would be protecting the immigrant family's corner store from going under. Real compassion would be making...
He's basically describing the difference between a father's tough love methodology and a mother's nurturing methodology. You know, mothers do have a nurturing methodology, and they have a hard time seeing their kids as evil or bad. It's admittable. So, you know, if you're a mother who has a kid that's committing retail theft and he's getting arrested, eventually you start to blame the state, because who else would you blame? Yourself? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas fathers might be like, no, you got to put him in timeout.
Yeah.
I got to fix this. Totally different mentalities. And when it plays out on the world stage, this is what you get. It's not good to arrest the guys. Look, we need to provide for them. That's a mother's view.
Tax dollars meant for schools and healthcare didn't disappear into the black market. We get what we tolerate. And right now, we're tolerating our way to last place in the nation. And that's a commentary for November 11th, 2025. You can always text us, 888-973-5476.
Thank you, Charlie Harder.
Thank you. Yeah. I've really been digging some of our local radio shows. Now, this is the mayor who's leaving.
That's the first time I've ever seen him, by the way.
Oh, really?
But I recognize the voice immediately.
Yeah, because it's on the radio.
Yeah.
So this was our mayor who's just leaving town. And a lot of people are like, hey, you shouldn't just concede this race to someone who openly says, I am a socialist, right? You should, and has no experience in anything. Like this new mayor, it's like, I mean, she's got less experience than the illegal alien they had running in Kansas.
Still taking payments from her parents to cover her phone bills.
Of course she supports socialism. Mom and dad have socially raised, you know what I mean? Like, she doesn't, this is stunning.
Yeah.
But the guy who should have known something or whatever, tell me this is not. He gets asked about the election counting.
Uh-huh. Come on, Bruce.
Yeah, so to be candid with you,
my Seattle audios are horrible. What is the deal? Let me see if I can do something about the sound on that.
What was the question?
It was asking him if he really thinks he should concede from the race.
Sebastian, a lot of people were saying that I shouldn't concede and that there were anomalies, differences. This is a incredibly high voter turnout, and it was unexpected at these numbers. But I looked at the numbers, thought it was appropriate to concede, and I'll let others worry about that. I wanted to bring to my cabinet some...
I'll let them worry about that.
Yeah.
It was incredibly high voter turnout when we didn't expect it. It took 11 days to count.
I think that somebody just told him, hey, there's going to be we're not going to do this. Your time is done.
Listen. He knows he was selected. Who's he to stand in the way of the next election? Who's he to stand in the way of the next election? I mean, all right, guys, that is it for us today on the public. We are going to jump over into the private Rumble Premium, where the unoffendables listen. We are going to be listening to a ACLU lobbyist wearing an Antifa shirt.
Okay.
Claim that there's no Antifa, and then we're going to hear about how Antifa and now the different cells around it. Because remember, the idea is Antifa's it's a thing, it's a thought, and then the cells are all loosely organized and they don't, officially associate. Does that make sense? So it creates this decentralized command structure. Well,
I know that's the story.
Apparently they're onto that, because now they're declaring 4 of these specific cells foreign terrorist organizations.
Oh,
they're getting the Al-Qaeda treatment now. This is a big deal. This is like a big deal. A domestic terrorist is like, hey, we're still going to do all the law and order, but we're focusing on you. A foreign terrorist is like, you might go to Guantanamo. You know, it's a little bit different.
Get waterboarded.
Yeah, it's a little different. So, all right, guys, we're going to jump over into the private and we'll talk to the offendables there. The rest of you, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.